After more than a decade of no shrimp season in Maine due to concerns about low population levels, a winter pilot program seeking to revitalize the industry is getting set to begin. The Northern Shrimp Board, all through the Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission, is narrowing down applicants to fill 7 spots for the research program. The qualifications include being a Maine resident, having 2 or more years of experience in the shrimp industry, and willing to meet the project requirements. About 40 applications for both trawlers and trappers were submitted. Here's the guidelines around the allowable catch.
The Northern Shrimp section set a 26.5 metric ton research set aside. And with that, the participating trawlers will be allowed 1 trip a week with a 1,200 pound trip limit. And the trappers will be allowed 500 pounds a week, and they can tend their traps as they see necessary.
The 60,000 pound limit is a far cry from the early 2010s when fishermen caught more than 10 million pounds of shrimp per year. As for the applications, the board is reviewing experience, the desired region to fish in, and if the applicant's boat has advanced electronics to help collect data. Flora says the 7 participants will be notified within the next week. They're hoping to start the project the first week of February, and participants will be able to fish for about 6 weeks or until they reach the set quota.